Hi everyone. Let me just send this link to my Discord group. And let me just today I might just like put on some videos. So let me So let me know if you guys can hear me, if you guys can see me. Maybe we can watch some videos, try something new. I hope this won't end up like last night where it was echo, echo, echo and everything. I like this name. Oh, it's fun. I mean, get some audio as well. I don't know. I'll adjust that later. So I'm gonna put on some videos. Yeah, I watch some pretty much weird videos. Oh my god, that's spooky right there. Let's watch Dave's new video.
Something really disturbing is going on, and I'm almost afraid to talk about it. Almost. There's an episode of the Maury Povich Show. The talk show host who interviews people, finds crazy girls who get pregnant while they're in school, or strange men who marry their chicken sandwiches. But today was a day unlike any other. I tune in religiously to see Maury Povich do paternity testing and find out if the man who may have impregnated the woman on television is or isn't the father. But something really, really fucked up happened this afternoon when I set the DVR to tape Maury Povich. What I came home to was unlike anything I have seen on the program before. Basically, Maury looks really pissed off, angry. He had angry eyebrows as a man claimed to be the god of porn, wore a tiki adornment made of sausage, and danced using a tribal stick comprised of several dachshunds superglued together. It was strange, to say the least, but what happened next was truly fucked up. Maury looked really, really pissed. He started to mumble. He looked at the camera.
Ghost witches skeletons. It's a brew house of horror as we find out who the fathers of these paranormal entities.
He stopped, got up, and angrily stormed over to the cameraman, grabbing a cue card, tearing it up. I paused the video and noted that the right side of the torn note card said, "I'm Maury Povich, and I suck my own cock." "It's called Pandora's Box, Maury." A bald man, painted white, completely nude with lipstick on, smiled at the camera. You could see the pain of his ass cheeks rubbing on the cheap plastic chair. "The box is open and all the ills and evils of the world spill out. Leprechauns tap dancing in the street. Superman using his super strength to commit abortions on raccoons." He took out a revolver and pointed it at his own head as Maury stumbled over, trying to pull it out of his hand. He started yelling, "Cut! Cut!" as the man took out a pair of scissors and stabbed himself in the heart. Entire bottles of Smucker's jam pouring out of his pockets as he started crying and crying. The DVR clipped completely and the tape reversed, Maury giving the middle finger and walking backwards to re-enter the back of the studio where the audience wasn't allowed to see. You see Maury give an angry leer as he points at something with his middle finger. When he comes back, he's smiling as if that never happened. But the white makeup of the man's back and ass cheeks is still on the chair, along with signs of a struggle with a weapon and so much strawberry jam.
Oh my god, is that an octopus?
Maury gets pissed off now, mumbles, "Greater Christ!" under his breath. At the bottom it says, "Paternity test, but does Maury suck his own cock?" You see him walk back angrily, his eyes are bloodshot, and he looks disheveled as all hell. His hair is unkempt, his shirt isn't tucked in. You hear him yelling as three midgets wearing portions of clothing that represent a normal-sized person's shirt, shoes, and hat run out, squealing in agony. You see him shove them in a closet, and he locks the door, goes back to the front of the studio and smiles even though he's shaking. It was time for the paternity test. A man with scaly orange skin was laying there angrily as cast members poured water on his scaly naked body. He was huffing and wheezing as though he could barely breathe. That man. He was a star man. Starfish man, part starfish. This was disturbing. He was huffing and wheezing and huffing. "I can't be the father," he mumbled. He fell to his side, crying the tears of the ocean. "I reproduce asexually." He started crying and gasping. Maury was holding a card that indicated whether the starfish was or wasn't the father. But the father of who? The camera panned to a live, woolly mammoth and a Sasquatch sitting in a chair staring. The Sasquatch was wearing women's clothing and had lipstick on. "A female Sasquatch is called a Sasquatch," Maury said, still trembling. That's not even true, is it? He mumbled to himself. "He my baby daddy. He knocked me up after a seaside dinner and drinks in the Western Pacific Ocean." Sasquatch went through a detailed story about how she was cast out for being too hairy, as she was actually just a normal woman, so they dumped her into the local river, but she refused to die, and after feeding on a variety of kelp expired hot dogs and sea prawns, she managed to survive and made her way to the briny bottom of Davy Jones' locker. At the bottom of the sea were several marine animals, including lobsters, seals, and various kelp. The starfish offered to purchase her a drink of fermented seaweed, and after a night of hardcore debauchery, she woke up with a 3-pound lump to her stomach that she was certain wasn't a tumor. It was a baby. A baby Sasquatch. What Maury said next shocked me.
That's the most fucking stupid thing I've ever heard. You're just a hairy fucking woman.
Maury was pissed, and his evil eyebrows looked more evil. Even more like eyebrows. Please. Water. The starfish gasped as Cass continued pouring cold glasses of tap water on his wheezing body. Well, we're about to find out whether you are or aren't the father. I told you, starfish huffed. I reproduce sexually. Maury opened the note card, a look of shock on his face, and he screamed. Maury looked shocked, scared, nervous. I am the father? The Sasquatch screamed as her water broke, the placenta crashing all over the studio floor. The umbilical cord was still attached. The hairy, squirming, screaming baby Maury Povich. Dada! It had Maury's head, the head of an adult male, middle-aged man, but a hairy body and tiny claws and a prehensile tongue. What appeared to be a thirst for human blood. Maury screamed. The starfish would have been excited that he wasn't the father, but the starfish man couldn't respond. The starfish man was dead. I heard the sound of mumbling of hundreds, millions of people, going and stealing Maury's lawn chairs while he screamed, the crowd being enveloped by all manner of creature, animal, plant, fungus, human, non-human, hybrid. Everything was fucking each other in the ass, screaming and squealing. I am the author of my own misfortune. Maury screamed and screamed and screamed some more. Falling ratings, a need for prepackaged toothpaste, elephants and tigers fucking each other in the ass. I went to shut the tape off. This was one weird episode of the Maury Povich Show, and I'd work it. Just as the tape faded to black, I saw the odd cast of creatures picking and tearing him apart, bit by bit, piece by piece. My chairs! He cried. Protect my chairs! Father, I love you, the baby said as he bit into his thigh, cutting off chunks of flesh from his pinstripe trousers. Close the box! He cried. Close the box! He was wheezing and could barely breathe. You are not the father! I canceled my cable after that. I burned the DVR in the fireplace, and I cursed the day that forsaken transmission ever traveled across the country and entered my ear canal and eye sockets. And I think we can all agree that there are some things we're better off just not knowing.
Alright, let's watch another Dave the Useless video.
I am in love with the horse. Every morning I wake up and clutch my picture of Mr. Ed. Mr. Ed. A show about a talking horse. But here he was, a horse among horses, on my television set. I went up to the TV and started licking it, tasting the cold glass. I'm not in love with just any horse, you see. I'm in love with Mr. Ed. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can a man be in love with a horse? Have you ever had a prized football trophy? Family memorabilia? It's like that, but with hooves and a smooth, silky mane. The only thing better than falling in love with a horse is being a horse. I myself would become a horse if it were legally acceptable, but the doctors refused my surgery when I asked them to surgically attach a torso's hooven feet and elongate my mouth by 6 inches. Well, shit. Something was wrong with Mr. Ed, though. He looked really upset. He had bloodshot eyes, and he was foaming at the mouth. He hissed. At first I thought he was saying hello. But I know Mr. Ed, and that is not the way he... Mr. Ed was a show about a talking horse, but I personally never heard him say fucking asshole. Good morning, Wilbur. Wilbur was already in the room, as he'd been demanding life insurance earlier, and also some hay. Wait, horses don't demand life insurance. What the hell is going on? What's gotten into you, Mr. Ed? It was Wilbur, Mr. Ed's human. I'm a talking goddamn horse. What do you mean, what has gotten into me? Wilbur looked a bit disheveled as he got a shovel and started lifting 13 pounds of horse excrement. I just want some life insurance, Wilbur, Mr. Ed said. Wilbur asked him why he wanted life insurance, and it was because he said he was worried there'd be an accident soon. Wilbur leaves and you see a man walk out holding a speaker box. Wait a minute. Mr. Ed wasn't a talking horse. It was just some man hiding in the hay. My horse fantasy was ruined. I picked up my framed picture of Mr. Ed and smashed it. No longer did I love Mr. Ed, or any horse for that matter. I wasn't sure if I could ever love anyone ever again, let alone my pal, my best friend, Mr. fucking Ed. I had to warn them. I had to warn the people in the television. Mr. Ed was no horse. It was a greedy horse pornography investor who'd blackmail innocent farmers with horse porn if they didn't take out life insurance policies shortly before they murdered the horses. The horse. The horses. The horses. The horse just stared like a horse. It didn't speak. It was probably thinking about eating hay. It was just staring. Staring. The horse was staring into my soul. I couldn't look at it anymore. I turned the TV away from me, angry. Angrier than I'd ever been at horses. I just wanted to run in the fields and eat hay with my best equine friend. I don't know about all these problems with society, insurance, fraud. Get out of the house! I screamed, but they didn't hear me. I know this show was probably filmed 40 or 50 years before I was born, so I screamed louder. Get out of there! I screamed. They're going to kill the horse! I kept screaming louder and louder and faster. They needed to get out of the house quick. That horse was in danger. I was going to kill the horse. The man picked up the shovel and started bashing and bashing the horse. The horse screamed, neighing louder and louder. brutal bashing the skull of the horse in, pieces of horse brain visible, and he lapped them up like delicious strawberry jam. Then Wilbur walked in angry. The man was out of focus in the background, but you heard mumbling. Mumbling about horses, life insurance, hooves, horse tails, and horse accessories, shovels, hay, a lot of things related to the horses, and money, of course. I thought you turned the camera off, Wilbur mumbled. Oh, what the hell? Was he in on it too? How deep did this rabbit hole go? That's the thing about rabbit holes. Horses don't fit into them. Horses don't fit into them at all. I moved just 2 inches from the TV and started screaming. I knew it was to no avail. This had all been pre-filmed several years beforehand, and nothing I could say or do would ever stop them from killing Mr. Ed, my best friend, my confidant, a personal horse hero. Wilbur picked up the shovel, laughing maniacally, slammed it into Mr. Ed's bleeding skull. We killed that horse, he chuckled. We killed that horse good. He chuckled some more. Indeed, Mr. Ed was dead. Someone had slammed a shovel into his head, and the very thought of it filled me with dread. The last scene is the most disturbing. That's a lot of money there, Wilbur. It was that man talking like Mr. Ed. He was holding a vocal box. This was their plan all along, to frame that horse and embezzle funds with a horse insurance policy from Equine Equity Financial, a subsidiary of Your Dead Horse LLC. But that man with Wilbur looks so familiar. My face turned cold when I realized who he was. There, standing in the stable, in black and white, with not an ounce of color on his face. It was Bob Saget who played Danny Tanner on the popular
Oh
television
my god,
series
Bob
Squad.
Saget!
Hello, I'm Mr. Ed. A horse is a horse, of course, and no one can talk to a horse, of course. That is, of course, unless the horse is the famous Mr. Ed. Go right to the source and ask the horse. He'll give you the answer that you'll endorse. He's always on a steady course of Mr. Ed. And waste your time with doubt. But Mr. Ed will never speak unless he has something to say. A horse is a horse, of course, of course, of course. You've never heard of a talking horse? Listen to this.
Well, that was spooky. trying to find something good to watch. Let me go to my history because I know. Right.
Cartoon character who lives in a pineapple under the sea? SpongeBob SquarePants. Absorbent and yellow and inappropriate is he? Oh dear. We know that there are plenty of cartoons that squeeze in adult humor, but upon closer inspection, SpongeBob SquarePants just might be one of the most twisted kid shows to ever grace our TV screens. It's also been dragged into a surprising amount of controversy.
There's no pulling crabs. Can't you see my peace offering?
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today, we're taking a look at the dark facts and truths about SpongeBob SquarePants that will ruin your childhood.
La 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 la. I think I got it.
If you like what you're hearing, be sure to check out the full song at the link below. It isn't uncommon to see the occasional lewd joke being made in a children's cartoon. Anyone else remember the Carpet Munchers from Cow and Chicken?
We're the Buffalo Gals! Oh, the Buffalo Gals! A motorcycle riding gang that randomly bursts into people's homes and chews on their carpet!
SpongeBob, on the other hand, makes them pretty frequently. One of the earliest examples comes from the episode Texas, when SpongeBob and Patrick try to come up with ways to prevent Sandy from moving back to Texas. After Patrick suggests bringing Texas to Bikini Bottom, SpongeBob exclaims, "Patrick, your genius is showing," at which our pink starfish covers his crotch in a panic.
Well, let's go get some Texas and bring it down here.
Patrick, you can't. That's it. Patrick, your genius is showing.
Where?
And this is nothing compared to some of the other lewd and crude gags that show up in later episodes. Karate Choppers is another episode that arguably features subtle blue humor. You ever notice the way SpongeBob and Sandy talk about karate?
Is that enough? Maybe just one more. Or two.
Or 3.
Or 10.
10! Yes, 10, because we're really hungry!
Right.
Well, try replacing the word karate with a different word, and the episode begins taking a different form. The two become so obsessed with their new activity that SpongeBob gets fired.
No more.
But Mr. Krabs,
No more of this karate stuff, lad, or you're fired.
And if that doesn't make you suspect that this episode is one 11-minute euphemism, you might want to rewatch the scene where SpongeBob and Sandy are doing karate over the phone.
Hello?
Of course, there's a ton of other obvious jokes throughout the show.
Frilly things. We hit the jackpot.
oh yeah, Mr. Krabs.
From the panty raid in Midlife Crustacean to SpongeBob